Hello, you're listening to Hugo Talks. This video is called The Roman Big Reveal. Now, if you've been following my videos, you will know that I have talked about the Roman Empire and how it never went away. It's secretly been in power in every government of the world under many different guises. It's basically the beast, right? I mean, I'll tell you what, I might actually bolster this video and add on a selection of those videos I've done about this in the past to further illustrate the points I'm making in this video. I'll stick those videos at the end of this one. I made them over a year ago and I think it's standing up. Those videos are standing up to the test of time looking at what we are seeing taking place today. Now we must remember this is the enemy revealing itself. It's always been there. The spirit of Antichrist, as it states in scripture, has been there from the beginning. Hence why the Roman Empire, it never went away. It is the beast and it's always been there under many different guises and many different names and many different organizations. But it very rarely reveals what it really is. It's been pretending to be something that it wasn't. It's been putting on a front. The idea of the big reveal now is that if we are heading towards the end times, it will need to start to show itself as what it really is, as it has to do this in the end times because it wants the people of the earth to see what it really is so that they can choose to accept it or not. So that when those that accept it and follow it do so, they are doing it with full knowledge of what it is. Hence why these things will come more and more into the spotlight. This is why you are seeing this all going on in America, why recently Elon Musk was doing the fascist salute, which has now been echoed by Steve Bannon at CPAC recently. This is the normalizing of it. This is the beginning of causing the inhabitants of the earth to worship the beast. Of course, we've seen things like this happen before in the past, in history, but they were isolated and you didn't have the power of the internet, social media, the influence and connectivity that has across the world. And this is the USA, which is the most dominant economic and military power of all countries. Which doesn't really matter anyway, because all of those countries are linked through the United Nations, which of course is also the Roman Empire. So here we have some recent images I thought were interesting from the CPAC, which is a MAGA pro-Trump conservative convention. There's loads of images of Musk, who was at it with a chainsaw for whatever reason. But it's this Steve Bannon, who, like Musk recently, he snuck in the fascist beast system salute. As you can see here, of course, the false prophet media, they try to focus this on it being a Nazi salute, but it is a Roman salute. When Hitler did it, that was yet in another formulation of the beast, which was probably a trial run for now, when it's going to be done by the USA. And now we are seeing the normalization of this. This is the same Steve Bannon who just before Trump won the election said that if Trump wins, they will enact rough Roman justice. I have the clip in an old video. For the life of me, I can't remember which video it was. But yeah, he said if they win the election, that Trump is a kind man, but we ain't like him. When we get in, we're not kind. We will get revenge on all those who disagree with us and we will enact rough Roman justice. And what is rough Roman justice? Well, that would be severe military Roman Empire justice. And that would be executions, torture, or crucifixion. Yeah. So we are seeing a clear pattern here in the clip where Bannon gives the salute. He doesn't even hide it. I mean, if you watch it, he even implies in a way that he says, yeah, I just did that, deal with it. Of course, he also says, fight, 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 as he gives the salute. Musk, of course, did this recently. This is the same Musk that talks about how he thinks about the Roman Empire every day, yeah? So what we are seeing here is the beast revealing itself so that the followers of it are under no mistake what it is if they choose to follow it. This is the power structures of the world slowly revealing who and what they really are and what they have always been. Also, we have at this CPAC this interesting poster where once again this goes in alignment with what I mentioned in earlier videos. Here we see this poster for Trump. He's drawn like a Roman Empire emperor style imagery, as you can see. Above his head we have the eagle, a symbol for the Roman Empire, and it says third term project for Trump 2028 and beyond. Yeah, so of course an American president can only be president for two times, and then he has to step down, so a total of about 8 years. But here we see some movement to stop this law and make it possible for Trump to stay as president for a third term. Like an emperor can rule more than one country as well. Also, he's there until he clanks it. And so this poster, you can see, is clearly hinting at that. Now, you remember, again, I pointed it out in an earlier video last year, how Trump said before the last election, he addressed Christians specifically at a rally saying, please vote for me just this one time. You only have to vote for me once, he said, and you'll never have to vote again. Hinting at this exact thing, that he wasn't going anywhere after he got in. He was going to stay there. And all of this is the beast slowly revealing itself to the world. And of course, it also wants to be popular. It wants the people of the earth to like it. It wants to normalize its ways. It wants the people of the earth to follow the beast. So as you can see, we have, in the news now, we've got these scenarios. In the false prophet news, we've got these scenarios where Trump and people like Musk are being set up as heroes, as people who are changing things for the better. How Trump is going to bring peace in the Middle East and Russia and Ukraine. How Musk is weeding out all the corruption in government, etc., etc. These are your counterfeit saviors, counterfeit kings, counterfeit emperors, kings, counterfeit to the King of Kings, who is Jesus. This is what all of this is about. And this will all continue in order to convince those who are without discernment and without the Holy Spirit to follow them, to believe in them. This is all in alignment with Scripture. This is your Babylonian Empire, Roman Empire, which is promoted favorably with the use of propaganda to the inhabitants of the earth through the false prophet media to cause them to follow it and believe in it. They have to slowly reveal who they are, as this can't be a trick or a deception. For the choice that you end up having to make has to be your choice. This is the separating the wheat from the chaff. The wheat represents those who are truly repentant. The chaff, those like the Pharisees and the Roman Empire who are not. The difference between the wheat and the chaff is the grace of God. The difference between the saint and the sinner is the salvation of the Lord. And so you're seeing the big Roman beast reveal what it is, and it's been happening over time, but recently it's been sped up somewhat. Look, I'll leave it at that, and I'm gonna cut this video short and put some of these old Roman Empire videos I did a year ago. After me speaking right now, you'll see them, just for any new eyes that have not come across this before, to help illustrate my point. Okay, thanks for listening, thanks for your support. I'll see you in the next video, and here's the old Roman Empire videos. Hello, you're listening to Hugo Talks. Now, you remember I did a video a while back called All Roads Lead to Rome, which speculated that the Roman Empire, it never went away. That it's still the same system in place today. They've just changed their names. They've branched out. They've created different versions, monopolized it some more. How the UN, the United Nations, the World Health Organization, the Club of Rome, the EU, the World Bank, all of these organizations have Roman symbolism. The double-headed eagle, the fascist symbol, royalty, and so on and on. That is the system in control everywhere. They are all linked. The Roman Catholic Church, the Protestant Church of England, your Kabbalah, Freemasonic societies, yeah, they are all worshipping pagan gods, just like the Roman Empire used to. But now they do it under the disguise of the pretend worship of God, right? Which is what we saw on Saturday at the coronation. The Roman Empire is still the ruling dynasty, and the Vatican State, the Rothschilds, banking dynasty, the Order of Malta, the Crown, the Temple Bar, law system, the Rosicrucians, the Jesuits, the Order of the Garter, the US Senate, you name it, the ruling dynasty is the Roman Empire, and it's anti-God and it's anti-Jesus. Always has been. There's so much. Maybe I'll stick the All Roads Lead to Rome video at the end of this because I haven't got the time to re-go over all of that again now. So look, the coronation, it was full of Roman Empire imagery and symbolism. Let's start with the penny mordant, who stuck out like a sore thumb. The politician, she was up for being Prime Minister with Rishi Sunak, but she didn't win, carrying some sword in the ceremony in this blue dress, which had Roman laurels all over it. The dress, apparently, it says here, is called the Poseidon midi dress, right? Poseidon is Neptune. Neptune is a Roman god of the sea. You'll see more of that in a second. Some have suggested it looks a bit like Poundland. Yeah, Poundland is also part of the Roman Empire. Penny Mordaunt is establishment through and through, big army family. She's linked to Angela Lansbury, the actress. Unusually, she was also a magician's assistant once for a magician who was quite a high up magician. He was the president of one of the biggest magic circles in the UK. And now she's involved in ceremonies and rituals where at one point they had to bring in a screen so you couldn't see what was happening, just like they do with the magicians. The magician's assistant, would bring out the screen and cover something and hey presto, the thing is gone. So she's clearly got the Roman laurel all over the dress. Some people will say, oh, it's based on the Privy Council outfits. Yeah, well, that's also based on the Roman Empire laurel. Here we see the Kate Middleton and her child, right, with the Roman laurels on their heads. Again, it's kind of telling you straight up. I mean, how much imagery do you want to see? People will say things like, why is the entertainment industry, why does it seem so satanic? Why does it promote all of these ungodly, evil things? Why is this person dressing up in this way and so on and so forth? What's with all the satanic imagery? It's because the Roman Empire is the ruling dynasty over the world. The Roman Empire worshipped pagan gods. This is the same imagery you see in the films like the Hunger Games. Nothing's changed. I mean, I know they're movies, but they are telling you what's going on in these movies. Nothing has changed apart from the Roman Empire used to worship pagan gods in public. Now they hide behind God and the Bible. They are pretending to be Christians. I mean, come on. I mean, you judge a tree by the fruit it gives, right? I mean, how stupid can you be? I mean, you're watching Charles saying, I swear to serve and not to be served. I shall serve you. I will not be served. And then the next thing, he's being ridden out of a church in a multi-million-pound golden carriage with idiots in the rain, poor people, peasants, waving flags. He's got a crown on his head in a golden carriage, a crown full of jewels stolen from other countries, going home to where he has hundreds of servants who will wait upon him and serve him every minute of the day. Today, tomorrow, and so on. I mean, are people daft? I mean, they're lying straight to your face. I am not here to be served. I'm here to serve you. No, I don't think you are. They are all connected with one another, and it's the Roman Empire, all right? Talking of the golden carriage, here we see on the carriage the fascist symbol, the Roman Empire weapon symbol, same symbol you see in the US House of Representatives, that the eagle holds. Again, you'll see it in the video coming up after this. Here it is on the corner of the golden carriage, and here we see two Poseidons, or Neptunes, holding the fascists at the back of the carriage. Neptune, of course, is a Roman god, the Roman god of the sea, and that brings us back to the admiralty law, the maritime law of the sea, the king also being the Leviathan. I mentioned that before, the sea beast, yeah? How he is not subject to law, The king is not subject to law. He is not subject to be prosecuted. He doesn't need a passport. Neither does the Pope. They are two cheeks of the same arse, remember? The king is a personification of the state. He's a personification. You're a person. He's not a person, right? You're a person because you are subject to law. He is the personification of the state. He is not subject to law. I talked about this in the birth certificate video. You'll have to go back and check that one out at hugotalks.com. The king is not subject to law, but you are. Ask yourself why this is. Right, now, look, I'm going to put the All Roads Lead to Rome video on next so that you can see where I'm coming from. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to comment and subscribe to the website to get notifications of all videos, as many are not uploaded here anymore and are on the hugotalks.com website. The subscribe link is below in the comments and description. And here is the All Roads Lead to Rome video. Hello, you're listening to Hugo Talks Now. If you have been watching my videos of late, I've said that the Bible is pivotal to all that has been going on recently, and in this video I'm going to attempt to show you why and draw some connections together right back to the book of Genesis. This video covers a lot of information, and to do it justice it would need to be very, very, very long, but I want to try and keep it short and simple, and you may want to go and research some things yourself to look into it some more. Don't take my word or anyone else's word. Look into these things yourself, okay? And let me know what you think in the comments here or on the website. So, all roads lead to Rome. We'll start with Roman symbols and their predominance all across the world. I touched on this recently with the double-headed eagle. We'll get onto that in a moment, but first let's take a look at this one. This is called the fasces. It's an assemblage, it's a weapon, right? It's an assemblage of wooden rods bound together, typically about 1.5 meters long, bound by leather straps together with a single-headed axe. Sometimes there's a double-headed axe. And this is a symbol from ancient Rome. It was a weapon used to oppress people. It was carried by lictors, who were Roman civil servants, bodyguards to magistrates, and they were used to oppress and execute people who would not submit to the will of the Roman Empire. They were used to flog and decapitate people, basically. Now, this symbol of the fasces can be found all over the place. Here we see it at the US House of Representatives, on either side of the USA flag, either side of where the speakers perform and talk. If you recall, the House of Representatives, they put through the COVID bill. It had the number of HR 6666. Yes? Anyway, you may ask, why are these ancient Roman symbols of oppression, the fascists, up there on either side? Oh, and by the way, this is where the word fascist, fascism, comes from. It comes from the weapon, the fasces, and the symbol. So why are these ancient Roman symbols in the USA House of Representatives? Fasces, weapons. Fascism meaning a way of organizing a society in which a government ruled by a dictator controls the lives of the people, and in which people are not allowed to disagree with the government. Which is kind of what we have, is it not? They have created an illusion of democracy through the media, when in actual fact it's an autocracy, which they want to now take to a new level with a one world government, as stated in prophecy. Now, back to the USA. One of the reasons for these Roman symbols in the House of Representatives, it says here, is they say the founding fathers used Rome as an inspiration. Of course, the founding fathers were Freemasons. You'll also notice that they have a wreath around the fasces, like the Roman laurel wreath, which is also, you see it elsewhere at the House of Representatives here, for example. There's loads more. You have one at the President's Oval Office, a fasces above the door. We also see the eagle is on top of the fascist mace they use at the House of Representatives. The mace being a symbol of authority, a ceremonial staff, like they use elsewhere in the UK House of Commons and New Zealand, etc. They also have a symbol of the eagle in the ceiling. Now, take note of these ancient Roman symbols, specifically the fasces, the eagle, and the laurel wreath. This is the same laurel wreath you see around the United Nations logo. Again, ancient Rome. The laurel wreath were and are symbols of military victory, of Roman military commanders or emperors who wore them in battle. Why do you think the United Nations uses an ancient Roman laurel wreath surrounding what looks like a circle flat earth map? Roman victory over all of the nations. Just as the World Health Organization also have the laurel wreath on its logo. And then of course UNICEF also use the laurel wreath. All of these international organizations using ancient Roman symbology. The eagle is a symbol of Rome. It's been used over and over. They also used the double-headed eagle, which was used by the Byzantine Empire, which was the Eastern Roman Empire, and the Holy Roman Empire, which were the continuation of the empire after Rome fell. And the double-headed eagle represented an augmentation of the Roman single eagle, as we can see here. The single eagle, we can also see this in use by the Nazis. You see it here at the top of these things they are holding at one of their marches. It was used by Mussolini. Here we see an eagle holding the actual fascists, holding it with its claws. So you've got two Roman symbols in one. The same fascist weapon symbol from ancient Rome that you saw at the House of Representatives. Oh, by the way, did you know that Mussolini was also an MI5 British intelligence agent? That's something to look into. They're all in the club. Germany uses the eagle. Russia uses the double-headed eagle. All symbols linking back to the Roman Empire, the same Roman Empire that crucified Jesus after the Jews asked them to. You will find these symbols on buildings everywhere. The Roman fascist decapitation weapons, say, here in Nottingham in the UK, or in Paris, France, or in Germany. You'll see the double-headed eagle in the UK, as here in the royal family, the Queen's 1st Dragoon Guards. On the reverse of this Queen Victoria coin. Loads of coins all over the world with royalty from different times featuring the eagle and the double-headed eagle. And laurel wreaths, of course. In the UK you have Britannia, which is supposedly the national personification of Britain, but of course she's wearing a Roman helmet and carrying a trident. Roman rule over Britain ended over 1,500 years ago, so the history books tell us, yet they still keep these symbols. The Knights Templar were a Roman Catholic military order, and the establishment in the UK royal family are all in that club. They wear the cross, the Knights of Malta. Just look at them. Look at what they wear and their connections to Freemasonry. Again, very obvious, very clear, all in the club. Talking of clubs, we have the Club of Rome. No Roman symbols in their logo, just a big old globe. They don't need the symbols. They've got the word Rome in the title. The Club of Rome, it says here, is a non-profit informal organisation of intellectuals and business leaders whose goal is critical discussion of pressing global issues. And they are the organisation that really started pushing the CC33 agenda back in 1972 with their Limits to Growth report, another offshoot of the United Nations. And this agenda is now being used to control the masses, okay? On old Roman coins, the trident appeared on the coins when an eagle wasn't being displayed. And of course, we have Ukraine with the trident symbology now. And they are working very closely with the USA and the UK and the EU. Ukraine, which was once called Khazaria, and the Khazars, who teamed up with the Byzantine Empire, who were the Eastern Roman Empire. An alliance with Rome, which first began, it says here, in the early 7th century, fighting together in wars, yeah? Khazars, at some point also converted to Judaism. Then we have the Freemasons, who use double-headed eagles, especially in regards to the Scottish Rite, Albert Pike, and so on. All of this is Roman symbology. But you'll be told, the Roman Empire or the Roman dynasty, it don't exist anymore. Yeah? Maybe they've changed their brand name, but it's just using the same symbols. The Roman Empire would be labelled today as a fascist empire, that being an authoritarian, ultranationalistic political ideology and movement, usually with a dictator and no form of democracy, usually attributed to an individual country and leader. But what if it was a one-world government? Does this sound like something that might be happening at the moment? Now, I could go on with loads of examples like this, but I want to tie this in with the Bible, right? So now, of course, we know the ancient Romans was a pagan kingdom founded by Romulus, who, as the story or myth states, as a baby was suckled on the milk of a she-wolf, suckled on the milk of a beast. Rome being a pagan kingdom that worshipped pagan gods with festivals that still occur today, but in a different guise, like Saturnalia, an orgy of drink and sacrifice, which is now Christmas, Lupercalia, a pagan ritual, which is now Valentine's Day, and so on. Now, this can go right back to Nimrod, the Tower of Babel, but the most obvious is Jacob and Esau in the Bible. So in the Bible, right, you have Abraham. So, when you hear about the Abrahamic religions and the recent Abrahamic house that they are opening soon, which is the aim is to unite all of the religions, like uniting all of the nations. It's on account of Abraham in the Bible, who was chosen by God for his family to go and do special things, right? And he had a son called Isaac, and then Isaac had 2 boys with his wife. 2 boys, 2 brothers, Jacob and Esau. Now, this is in the book of Genesis, and these 2 boys, it is said in the Bible that they were 2 nations fighting in the womb of the mother before birth. So this is stating how these 2 are from their future progeny going to create 2 opposing sides, conflicting with one another. It states that when they were born, Esau was born red and hairy, while Jacob was not. Esau was a hunter and lives in the moment type of character, while Jacob is a studious, hardworking, and careful and obedient to God. To cut a long story short, it happens that Esau sells his birthright, you could say means sells his soul in a way, to his brother for some red pottage, which people believe is bloody red meat soup or something like that. Again, another reference to the red colour, and this creates a conflict between the 2. And it then goes on to say that God, in the Bible, God declares that he loves Jacob but hates Esau. And what this means is that out of the 2, God chose Jacob and rejected Esau. And Esau then went on to become the progenitor of the Edomites. Okay, the Edomites in the Bible originate from Esau, so it says, and they had their kingdom of Edom. Edom meaning red. So again, we have the red symbology. It says here, the Hebrew word Edom means red, and the Hebrew Bible relates to it, to the name of its founder, Esau, the elder son of the Hebrew patriarch Isaac, because he was born red all over. Now, the children of Esau, the Edomites, made their home high up in the mountains of Mount Seir. Mount Seir is specifically noted as the place where Esau made his home. And this is where they took the symbology of the eagle being so high up. They worshipped a god. The Edomites worshipped a god called Kos, Qos, which is pictured here. The eagle on the head is supposed to be the god Kos. Edom was then condemned by God in the Bible. The main reason for God's wrath and judgment on Edom is given for the violence done to your brother Jacob. Shame shall cover you, and you shall be cut off forever. And then we have God saying in the Bible through a vision from Obadiah, Okay, Obadiah 1:1-4, it says here, 1, the vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom, we have heard a rumour from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. 2, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. 3, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? 4, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and thou set the nest among the stars, thence I will bring it down, saith the Lord. So, what it says here, though you ascend, though Edom has ascended as high as the eagle in their pride, the Edomites thought themselves to be as high as the eagle, and God wanted to bring them down. Now, there are some people who suggest that Esau and the kingdom of Edom then became Rome, and that these hunters that associate themselves with eagles, who were rejected by God, who God said he hated, became Rome, and then the Roman Empire, who then went on to worship false idols to spite God, who went against God. Now, I don't know if there are any bloodlines that exist from back then to now. We do know that these royal families are very picky who they breed with, but this spirit of Rome, this anti-God, anti-Christ, international powers that exist, seems to be connected by symbols for sure. Could it come from there, all the way back to the book of Genesis, because God rejected them? 2 nations, it said, 2 nations, 2 conflicting nations, and one is rejected and hated by God. And that eventually became the Roman Empire. And these colonial, take what you want, pagan, God-worshipping, warmongering, ruthless control freaks who went out and conquered and destroyed anything that got in their way, are what we see now as what influences the world. Another example of this is King Herod. King Herod was the king at the time of Jesus' birth in Bethlehem, and he ordered the death of every baby boy in Bethlehem 2 years and under. It was called the massacre or slaughter of the innocents, and this was done in order to stop Jesus being born. Just like Nimrod, who did the same to try and stop Abraham being born, and the Pharaoh to stop Moses being born, and so on. Now, King Herod was an Edomite, from the kingdom of Edom, appointed as king by the Roman Empire. And here we see a coin of King Herod with an eagle on it. Herod also installed a gilded bronze eagle above the gate of the Jerusalem temple. So all the way back there. And now we see these Roman symbols, the eagle, the fasces, the laurel wreath, today in all of these powerful international organizations. The spirit of Rome lives on today. Clearly, with all of the symbols we can see in these governments and flags and secret societies, and that's why they want to have a one world government. And is this why they want transhumanism and all of this talk about us all becoming our own gods and the hacking of the human body, genetically changing the human race because God created humans and they are against God, they are anti-God. And this spirit of Rome all goes back to God not choosing them, hating them. The ruling powers know that God rejected and hated them and said to destroy them at some point. So these ruling powers are the same spirit of Rome. When you see the word freedom, it has the word Edom in it, and the word freedom attached to the image of an eagle. Does this mean to them freedom from God, freedom from God's rules, freedom from the 10 Commandments, do what thou will, worship pagan gods, worship Lucifer, as we can clearly see the United Nations Lucis Trust, which is Lucifer Publishing, who Freemasons worship. And I haven't even covered the Roman Catholic Church, which was hijacked from Jesus by the Roman Empire in order to control people. So instead of invading, they ruled over them psychologically. The fear of the Roman army was replaced by the structure of fear of eternal damnation, which was a lot less expensive to maintain. Then later, add in the Inquisition and the burnings for those out of line, and you have a very Roman-like means of mass control. The vast array of pagan gods that supported all aspects of daily life became a very similar looking array of patron saints. I mean, just look at the Vatican. They continued the Roman tradition of creating enormous, over-the-top architecture, to show off, and art to substantiate their existence. All of this is more Roman-like than Jesus-like, is it not? So, okay, I hope that works and is not too complicated. There's a lot of information in there. I wanted to showcase a biblical division from the book of Genesis and follow it through to today, with the signs and symbols of Rome still on display in the places of power and across different nations, different races, and different religions as well, and how that reflects in the decisions and the moral outlook of the international organizations who believe they have the power and rule over the world at the moment. God originally rejected Esau in favor of Joseph, and Edom was the descendants of Esau, who was symbolically identified as red and used the symbol of the eagle, who some claim became the Roman Empire, and that spirit of Roman imperialism, the spirit of anti-God, take what you want, control people, enslave people, oppress the people, and reject God, continues to this day as shown in all of the symbols on display in the places of power. Now, if you think this video will be of use to someone, is useful in any way, please share it. I am shadow banned on all of these social media accounts. The only way a video is going to reach new eyes and new ears will be through you and you sharing it. It's not going to go viral. None of these CO network people are going to share it. So it's up to you how far and how wide these videos will be seen. As always, thanks for listening. Come and subscribe to the website hugotalks.com, and I'll see you later. Hello, you're listening to Hugo Talks. It's been a very strange week this last week. I haven't been able to get many videos done, but those certain things I feel that are strange have led me to talking about this subject today. And today I'm going to be talking about the Book of Revelation. Book of Revelation is the final book of the Bible and is full of apocalyptic prophecy. The beast coming out of the sea, the mark of the beast, the whore of Babylon, etc., etc. And I'm going to be focusing specifically on Revelation chapter 12 in this video. And I'm going to go through it with a fine tooth comb. What you see about this subject and that which is promoted by the beast system, I believe is to mislead people. But before I get into this Revelation chapter 12, I want to talk about a few other things first. And before going into this, it might be handy to go back and check my Roman Empire Never Went Away video, because in my opinion, the Roman Empire, as the video title says, it never went away. People will have you believe that Rome fell in the year 476, but no, that was just a hiccup. It was a head wound, which has now healed. It then diversified. It spread its eagle wings. It became the Holy Roman Empire and the Byzantine Empire. It became the Vatican. And every international organization you see today is part and parcel of that Roman Empire, in my opinion. When you see the United States, the United Nations, the World Health Organization, the World Economic Forum, the banking system, the Vatican, the royal family, PayPal, Google, YouTube, Hollywood, the music industry, every government of the world, every international organization, they are all part of this Roman Empire that never went away. It's the power structure in place today. As I showed in that video, it's in control. You are under it. It's not just the Roman Catholic Church. That is just one part of it. It's an all-encompassing system. And it is, in my opinion, the first beast of Revelation that comes out of the sea in chapter 13, after chapter 12. A beast that has been around a long, long time. The first beast with the head wound that is now healed. That wound being caused by the resurrection of Jesus, which was a stumbling block for the Roman Empire 2,000 years ago, but is now healed. And this beast system, the Roman Empire, they control every facet of everyone's life, especially what you see and hear, the media and the social media, which of course is easily configured in this digital age to target certain demographics with specific propaganda. They now control more and more of what you're shown and manipulate what is popular. What is put in front of the masses by the algorithms on places like YouTube, Rumble, wherever, right, is part of the beast system. What turns up usually at the top of those search results is favored by the beast system. It's what they want you to see. So if the beast system and the world is in the power of Satan for a short time, the dragon, it would want to set up a system that will net them the most souls, that will keep the biggest amount of the population of the world spellbound, keep them from being saved for when Judgment Day comes around. This is why every avenue in popular culture leads to Babylon. You know, the Bible states, what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his own soul? Satan wants your soul. Your soul is worth more than the whole world. From Satan's strategy point, right? From the enemy's perspective, they want the average person basically to never go looking into scripture in the first place. They don't want you talking about Jesus or the Bible if they can help it. They want to keep you entertained away from that with distractions, celebrities, bread and circuses. And failing that, if people get bored and start searching for the truth, they have a controlled opposition network to mislead them there. That is why so many truther channels promote the New Age, promote meditation, chakras, Metatron and the likes. And then failing that, if there are ones who then see through all of that gubbins and they start looking into the Bible, then you have Christian platforms, Christian channels, preachers, scholars with credentials. And these are then thrust in front of this group and they start telling you about unbiblical theories and concepts in order to mislead and confuse you. You really need to ignore what these huge organizations like Google, who are part and parcel of the beast system, you have to ignore what they throw at you in the search engines. It's always going to be what the devil wants you to see. Because if it is turning up in the recommendations of the beast system, it's not going to tell you the truth. It may be part truth, but it's there to sell you a bigger lie. You really need, when it comes to the Bible, you need to go and read the scripture yourself. And I hope this video encourages people to go and study the scripture themselves. Now, personally, I don't like uploading videos onto YouTube. For one reason, I'm shadow banned into oblivion on here. I mean, you might say, oh, but you get 15,000 plus views on a video. Yeah, they're all coming from my website subscribers. I was savvy enough to get people to subscribe to my website over the last couple of years. And so I've created my own traffic. And they hate that. It's a good thing I did, because had I not, I'd be getting no views at all now. I get nothing from YouTube, absolutely nothing. None of these videos are monetized. But the problem is, I know the audience, generally, they feel more comfortable sharing videos from YouTube. They would much rather share a video from YouTube than from a website like hugotalks.com. Unfortunately, that's what the stats say. So for that reason, I will put videos like this specific one on here for the time being, in the hope that it will be shared and someone who is not already a subscriber will see it and it may open their eyes. Now, if we put in Revelation 12 into the search engine on YouTube with no account logged in, you will get all of these videos. Now, I've gone through many of these videos and they all push the same interpretation of Revelation 12. They are all exactly the same. They all follow the same agenda. They all say that the Virgin Mary in Revelation chapter 12 is not actually the Virgin Mary, but it is Israel, which I will show is complete bunkum. There are many reasons why they push this. One is so they can tie in their 7-year pre-trib rapture theory into it, which I believe is a psyop, but also it's to hide certain things as well. I explained in the last video about the 7-year pre-trib rapture being a psyop. I'm not saying that there isn't going to be a resurrection, a rapture, but I'm saying that there isn't going to be one 7 years before Jesus returns, okay? And I gave many reasons. One, to make Christians complacent, to get them mixed up with the timeline. But one of the reasons, which I've had a fair few emails about, was back over the last, people saying over the last 50 years or so, many preachers, many churches, when asked if they were going to ever preach about the book of Revelation and the end times, they would use the concept of the 7-year pre-trib rapture as an excuse to not talk about it. They would say, oh, there's no need to talk about that. We are all saved. We won't be around for it, they would say. I've heard many people getting this answer in the past. So it's also as an excuse to keep people in the dark. There's many reasons. You've got to understand that the Roman Empire, it controls all of these media platforms, that there is a CO network for every subject. And what is pushed at you, what turns up at the top of these search engines and has tons and tons of views, is most likely bunkum, or it follows the agenda they want to set, which is usually not the truth at all. Now, I've had many people say in the last video that they would say, who are you to talk about the Bible and Scripture? You're a baby Christian, they say. Well, I don't know. 1.5 years I've been reading the Bible now, okay? So maybe that's a baby Christian. I have to say, I have been looking at it a lot. I'm the type of person who, when they get into something, I throw myself into it. So 1.5 years of study, it might be 3 years for someone else. But here's the question, right? Here's the question I'll put to you. What makes you think scholars, theologians with degrees, pastors, priests are going to be trustworthy on account of their academic awards or credentials? What makes you equate that with trust? I seem to remember, right, many doctors, many scientists with academic awards and credentials being pushed to the public through the news and through those algorithmic search engines to tell people to go and get an experimental jab that hadn't been tested. I didn't agree with that either, and I'm not a doctor, right? So people with credentials and titles and so-called qualifications are quite often used to fool you. I don't care what you claim to be. What we are talking about here is Scripture. This is about rightly dividing the word of truth. Now, in this video, if I do speculate about something, I will tell you, all right? So let's take a look at this Revelation chapter 12. And unlike many of these videos recommended by the likes of YouTube, we're going to go through the Scripture word for word. And I'll explain why it isn't Israel, why it isn't part of this dispensationalism theory, which is all about trying to separate things that God has joined together. Okay, so this Revelation 12, it starts off with, and there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth and pained to be delivered. So here we have a woman, right? She's got a crown of 12 stars. The 12 stars most probably represent 12 apostles and quite possibly the 12 tribes. And she has just had a baby, right? Now, these people will say, the woman, well, you know, some people think it's the Virgin Mary, but actually no. The woman, it represents Israel because the 12 stars are the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, but it's a pregnant woman who's just had a baby. Only one person gave birth to Jesus, and that was the Virgin Mary. Not Israel. Israel is the name of the original covenant with God, okay? There's no mention of Israel there. And while we're on the subject, it's not the country either. This is another rabbit hole they will have you go down. The country of Israel today is not to be confused with and has no connection to the word Israel of the Bible. The country of Israel today was created by the United Nations in 1947 from Palestine. Okay? So as you will see, as we go on with Revelation chapter 12, it is made very, very clear that this whole chapter is about the Virgin Mary. The whole chapter, this part of Revelation, this chapter 12, is like a retrospective. It's going back to show you what happened in order to tell you how that also now shapes the future. And also, while I'm talking about this first passage, we also had this thing about September the 23rd, 2017, where the stars aligned like the passage in this first chapter, or the first passage in Revelation chapter 12, which apparently it was said that this arrangement of stars had never happened before. It was unique. You had the moon at the feet of Virgo, 12 stars at the head of Virgo, and so on. And at the time, I heard about this, but of course at that time, back in 2017, I had no interest in these things back then. I was asleep. Now, I don't know much about astronomy. Some people say it had never happened before. It was a complete one-off. Some say it happened a few times before, this alignment of stars in this particular way. Look, I don't know. There was much talk about at the time about how this was going to be the start of the Great Tribulation and so forth, and that may be the rapture. Some people will have you believe that these signs in the sky are for Israel only. I mean, you know, if you can see it, you can see it. It's for you. Again, they're always trying to separate things, cause division, dispensationalism. Yeah, we are all one in Christ. It says in Colossians 3:9-11, where there is neither Greek nor Jew, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond nor free, but Christ is all and in all. Yeah, we're all in the same boat, as I was saying in the last video. Personally, about this star alignment, I would say if it's anything, this September the 23rd, 2017 sign of stars in the sky, and this is speculation, right, on my part, it was a sign to the world that we are now in those times of Revelation, a sign that you can see is marked in the book of Revelation. And also that it was telling and reminding the world at the same time that Jesus was real, no matter what you've been told. And also maybe it happened on September the 23rd because that's the real date of his birth and not Christmas Day. Saturnalia, which the Roman Empire has made the world believe, is the time of Christmas, the time of Jesus' birth. Roman Empire are always cloaking their pagan celebrations in disguise throughout the year with holidays and days for patron saints, etc. Look, I'm not going to get into the Jesus birth date. You'll have to look into that yourself. Nobody really knows, okay? A lot of people think it was in September. That's just what I think it might be. It's a sign in the sky that correlates with this chapter in Revelation. So it could simply be just telling you that, you know, hello, we're now in the times of Revelation, the beast system and so forth. And also at the same time reminding the inhabitants of earth that yes, Jesus was real. Yes, Jesus was born. And that date, September the 23rd, might be significant. That is speculation on my part. So next up we have Revelation chapter 12, passage 3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his heads. So this is Satan, right? The dragon. And this is the power behind the first beast. The dragon, Satan, in control of this world for a short time, in control of the world system, which is the Roman Empire. The beast is described in Revelation 13, chapter 13, the first beast being the Roman Empire. The first beast also has 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, just as this dragon, Satan, has 7 heads and 10 horns, okay? The 7 heads, which later on in Revelation we are told are 7 mountains, which clearly signifies Rome, right? The Roman Empire was initially built on 7 hills. It's called the 7 famous hills of Rome, okay? Next up, we've got, and his tail, that's the dragon, and his tail drew the 3rd part of stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth, and the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. So what this is saying is it's describing Satan, the dragon, being cast out of heaven with 1/3 of the angels, and this dragon, Satan, stood before the woman, the Virgin Mary, to devour the child Jesus, the Messiah, as it was born. Now this again, these people saying it's Israel, the devil hates Israel. No, it is what it is. When it says the dragon is waiting to devour the child when it's born, it's simply talking about Herod, King Herod, who when he learnt of the Messiah being born, he wanted to kill the baby. King Herod was a Jew who was installed as king by the Roman Empire. He was employed by the Roman Empire. So he represented the dragon, the Roman Empire, and he orders the execution of all male children who are 2 years old and under in the vicinity of Bethlehem in order to try and wipe out Jesus, the Messiah. So it's very clear to me, we are talking the Virgin Mary, a dragon waiting to devour her baby when it was born. That's King Herod, the Roman Empire. It's merely reciting the tale of Jesus' birth, what the dragon was doing, and how it's linked to the Roman Empire at the time. Revelation 12 is a flashback for the majority of it. It's a retrospective, setting a scene to show how these things are working today. Now, next up we have, and she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and the child was caught up unto God and to his throne. So that is clearly Jesus. Virgin Mary gave birth to Jesus, King of Kings, and he was resurrected, caught up unto God. And then it says, and a woman fled into the wilderness, where she have a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. Now, if this is supposed to be Israel, as these people would have you believe, what's with 1,260 days? Israel fled into the wilderness for 40 years, okay? So it's not that, is it? This is where the ones peddling the Israel concept start to unravel. They start banging on about the 7-year tribulation and drafting the book of Daniel, and it all starts to fall to pieces. No, this is, as I said, this Revelation 12 is all about the Virgin Mary. As it's already stated, the dragon Satan, in the form of the Roman Empire, and King Herod wanted to destroy Jesus as soon as he was born. So Mary, Joseph, Jesus fled to the wilderness, and they fled to Egypt. They call this the flight of the Holy Family to Egypt. And they went to Egypt, where they were beyond King Herod's jurisdiction, a place prepared by God. And that's what it means. It's pretty simple. It's telling you the story again of Jesus' birth, how the dragon wanted to kill the Messiah as soon as he was born, and how they fled to a place prepared by God, which was Egypt. And this makes sense with the 1,260 days, as Joseph, Mary and Jesus returned from Egypt after roughly 3.5 years once King Herod had died. So that would be about 1,260 days. And it's interesting if you look into this, because King Herod's death, you will find a lot of people online trying to skew the truth on this one. And of course, they would do that because the establishment wants you to think that this is about Israel and not the Virgin Mary. Here we see over 3 years. Yeah? So that is your reason for the 1,260 days. Also, if you check Matthew 2:16, this also backs that timeline up. So then we have this part about Satan being cast out of heaven. And there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world, he was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So it's all again about Satan being cast out of heaven with 1/3 of the angels. It's reiterating what was said already. I mean, it's difficult to ascertain when Satan was cast out from heaven for good, because if you look in the book of Job, Satan is speaking with God in the throne room. So at that point, Satan could come and go from heaven and go down to earth. So is this referencing a time when he was cast down and he had no way back? Again, this is not something that is going to happen now. This is a retelling the story up to this point. So next up is 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength in the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. So again, this is telling you the story of Virgin Mary and what happened to Jesus. It says Jesus overcame, right? He overcame Satan by the blood of the Lamb. Jesus is the Lamb, the sacrifice. He overcame the accuser, Satan, who was cast down. And this was done with the resurrection. The resurrection and word of it reinforced the impact Jesus and his ministry had on his early followers. And it spread out across the land and grew and grew and grew. And this is what damaged the Roman Empire back in the day. And this is the head wound that the beast heals from. Okay? So next up we've got, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having a great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. So, woe to the inhabitants of the earth. This is referencing what was said earlier about Satan being cast down to the earth. When it says the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, when it says the sea, a lot of the time in the Bible, it means a mass of people. And this is the dragon that powers the beast. Okay, Satan powers the beast. And the second beast as well, which we'll talk about in another video. The dragon, Satan, who powers the first beast, which is the Roman Empire, which is the world system that we have ongoing today. And following that, and when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. So this part is talking about how Satan the dragon wants to persecute the followers of Jesus, but it also specifically honing in on the Virgin Mary. Persecution means hostility. It also means ill treatment. Now, next it goes back and it reiterates what it said earlier about Virgin Mary fleeing to Egypt. But this time there's a slight twist. It says, and to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and a half a time from the face of the serpent. So before, when we were looking at 12:6, it was, and the woman fled into the wilderness, where she have a place prepared of God, and they should feed her there 1,260 days. And now we have, and to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times and half a time from the face of a serpent. Now the eagle, as in the woman, were given 2 wings of a great eagle. I'm going to speculate it could be a symbol of Rome. So the woman goes into the wilderness, a place where she is fed for a time and times and half a time. Now this is referenced in the Bible as a time is a year, times is 2 years, and a half is half a year. So we have the same time, 3.5 years. So again, it's the same as before. It's just a different way to say the same time, 1,260 days. So we're talking about the same thing as before, when Mary, Joseph, and Jesus went to Egypt for 1,260 days before returning after King Herod had died. The only difference in this passage is it says that the woman Mary, when she fled to Egypt, she is fed from the face of the serpent. This is now added to the original passage, a little bit of extra information. What does this mean? She is fed from the face of the serpent. Why is this included as extra? Because I believe it's establishing a link between Rome, the Roman Empire, and Mary. Because Egypt, right? Egypt, to where Mary, Joseph, and Jesus fled to at the time because of the dragon, Satan, the Roman Empire, and King Herod wanting to kill the Messiah. Egypt, where they fled to, was under the rule of Rome. As you can see here, the flight from Egypt, again, this is always labeled the flight, so you know where the 2 wings of the great eagle, as it states. It says here, Egypt was a logical place to find refuge, as it was outside the dominions of King Herod. But both Egypt and Judea were part of the Roman Empire, linked by a coastal road known as the Way of the Sea, making travel between them easy and relatively safe. So Egypt was still part of the Roman Empire. So when Mary, Joseph and Jesus were in Egypt after fleeing King Herod, a place they stayed in for 1,260 days before returning, a place which was still part of the Roman Empire being the beast, powered by the dragon, Satan. So if you're following me, this is what it means by she was nourished by the face of the serpent. The serpent is Rome. It's just letting you know that the Roman Empire is the first beast and is powered by the dragon, the serpent, Satan. I'm speculating, I suppose, on the serpent being the dragon. The serpent is usually referenced as Satan. Maybe this is a reference to the Roman Catholic Church to come, which is part of the Roman Empire. So then you have, next up, we continue with this connection between the serpent and the woman, who is the Virgin Mary. It states, "And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood." So we've got a serpent, right, which is some offshoot of Satan, or Satan the dragon itself. And it says here, the serpent cast out of its mouth water as a flood after the woman. What does this mean? After the woman? Well, I would say if we look at the previous passages, it means after the Virgin Mary. So after the Virgin Mary has been and gone, I would say it means that. So the serpent cast out of its mouth water, right? So water, I mean, in the Bible, water is often seen as symbolizing a purification of the soul or an admission into the faith. But yet this water in this passage is coming out of the serpent's mouth, out of the mouth of something evil. So it's purifying water out of a serpent, and it's flood after the woman, the Virgin Mary. So it's purification coming from a serpent, and it's after the woman, after the Virgin Mary. So I'm thinking, is this now talking about what the Roman Catholic Church have done with the Virgin Mary and the worship or veneration of her, the rosary, the focus on Mary, as I've talked about before, the idol worship, the idolatry, the connection to Isis that I talked about before. And I mean, water coming out of a serpent's mouth, it sounds like it's disguised, something disguised as water, something that seems like purification, but actually is coming from the mouth of the serpent, from the Roman Catholic Church, which of course is the Roman Empire, which is, in my opinion, the first beast powered by the dragon, which is Satan. And as it says, the woman, the Virgin Mary, she is carried away by the flood of this serpent water. Okay? And then it says, 16, "And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth." Now, is this talking about people accepting the false doctrines of the Roman Catholic Church, which I've talked about in the past? A lot of Catholics worship, venerate. Venerate means to worship Mary. When Jesus told you, right, "I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me," it means no one except him. And I've talked about this before. So anyway, it says the earth helped the woman. So people across the world, the earth, have accepted this unbiblical doctrine and they've swallowed it. Swallowed the pretend purification water from the serpent. Is that what it is? That's what it seems to me. And then this Revelation 12 ends with, "And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ." So it's basically saying, right, that the dragon, Satan, hates the Virgin Mary, but it uses the serpent and its water from its mouth to carry her along, to fool the world, to swallow up false doctrine, so that they then struggle at making a connection with Jesus. That's how I see it. And this is all part of the war with the remnant of her seed, the remnant of the seed of those who follow Jesus. Remnant meaning a small piece or amount of something that is left. And that is Revelation chapter 12. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't see that being about Israel and the 7-year tribulation or pre-tribulation rapture, and it being a message for Jews, for Israel only. I don't see that myself. This is what's being sold to you by an army of either deceivers or the deceived. And this is in conjunction, aiding and abetting the false doctrine, I believe, of the pre-7-year tribulation rapture, which is set up by man-made theory of dispensationalism, which is all about trying to separate things that God has joined together. Sometimes these things don't have to be that complicated. Yes, Revelation has a lot of double meaning. There is a lot of spiritual talk in the Bible. I mean, for example, when people mention wine, sometimes it might just mean wine, but more often it means doctrine, influence. And a lot of the time it means corrupt, false doctrine. And if you're exposed to too much of it, you become drunk on false doctrine. The beast system, the Roman Empire, powered by Satan, that is in control of the world today, will always push and promote the wine of false doctrine to the top of that algorithm, so that the masses online are exposed to it. And personally, I've always worked out what the truth is by recognizing who the liars are and working out what they're trying to sell you and going against it. So if anything, I hope this encourages you to read the Bible yourself and not rely on anyone, and that includes me. Don't let anyone interpret it for you. Study it for yourself and double check it. So I'll leave you with this one, 2 Timothy. Study to shew thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. But shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. Thanks for listening. Thank you for your support, and thank you for your time, and I'll see you later.